So that 19 was a pulse on the chest. So Omar Rampersad, 5:55 p.m., March 25th, 2020. So I'm eating, and the power was turned up. So every pulse that increases the number is a pulse on my body. This is the experiment that's being carried out before the rollout of the coronavirus and the need to monitor people and track them and outsource the monitoring. So what would happen is in the coronavirus at the end of the whole process is people are going to have to be monitored, and the vaccination is going to have a chip, or the vaccine, I should say, is probably going to have a chip, or we are going to be chipped, and we are going to be vaccinated, and we are going to be only allowed into certain places to do certain activities if we have all the vaccines. So we'd have to be tracked and monitored, and information has to be on a chip, which most likely would be on our bodies. And if you don't, the cops don't have time to deal with every individual. So the cops are going to be outsourcing the monitoring to private agencies, like PK in my case. In the experiment, it is an experiment because it was not disclosed and I did not consent. So I am an unwitting experimentee who was practiced on just before the rollout of what's going on right now. And PK and the traffickers abused the process and used it for trafficking as well. Remote torture and sadomasochism, which a whole lot of kids are enrolled in without their knowing. I'm not even going to say I suspect, that's a fact. So it is a satanic agenda being rolled out, there's absolutely no doubt, because what PK and his friends at 25 Bamberg Circle is doing is satanic. But what I'm documenting right now on my data that I downloaded, rather uploaded for you to download from the detector, the spectrum analyzer, the data proves this. So that 33 was a pulse on the chest. So there's absolutely no doubt that there is experiment going on. There is absolutely no doubt that there is trafficking going on. There is absolutely no doubt, too, that the people who are doing the trafficking are also getting infected with the coronavirus, and somebody's angrily knocking in the loading dock right now. Because the people in the loading dock works with PK, and they are monitoring me live. And they're looking at me share, so I have absolutely no privacy. And I'd imagine this is what's going to happen after the corona crisis is finished. People are going to be monitored, and they will have no privacy. There's also always going to be somebody looking at you inside of your house, making sure that you're following the rules, making sure that you're keeping safe and you're not getting infected, and you're not distributing that infection to the herd, to other people. And we're going to be self-policing. We're going to be ratting on each other. We're going to be policing each other, and we're going to be calling in. We're going to be making reports on each other, just like people are making reports on me, just like my family made reports on just imprison you. They don't have to give a reason. That's going to be the powers that's going to be given to them in the new law that's going to be rolled out in the coronavirus crisis. So take notes. This is what's going to happen to you. This is exactly what's going to happen to you. And if it's torture, it's illegal surveillance, it's anti-human rights, it abuses every human rights on the books. It gives the person who's logged on to you a lot of power over you. He has power to lie about you. He has power to torture you. He has power to call the cops, and you will have no recourse because there is no human rights anymore. The human rights actually are going to be obliterated, non-existent. So you would have no recourse. This is where it's all headed. And this is a fact. Everybody who's listening to this knows it's a fact because they're practicing on me. I've been passed around, and managers using me as practice. And what are you practicing for? To become a manager. And what does the manager do? The manager has remote access to the person he's managing, and he writes reports about you and submits it to the government. And the government then comes to you and either charge you or give you a warning or charge you a fee or whatever it is. No trial necessary. There's going to be a committee, just like the one that is formed by the managers who are running my show out here. There's a committee in the building. There are committees in the companies that I work for. And these committees are going to try you. There's going to be no courts. These committees are going to try you and determine how much power to turn up, how long power is going to be turned up, how much sleep you're going to get, how long are you supposed to stay indoors, when are you supposed to eat, how much do you eat, what do you eat. Just like right now, I'm eating and the power is turned up. So the message given by the person in the loading dock, and I suspect he's a worker working with PK and the management in the condominium complex, based on his harassment. He is the manager of the account, and I heard it's global. Well, of course it's global. So is Corona, right? It's meant to be global because all the satellites are being shut up into orbit and the 5G is ready to go. So with 5G, everything speaks to each other. Your body is going to be chipped in order for that to happen. Your computer will be talking. It's not going to be on a watch on your arm. The chip is going to be in your body. And the computer will be talking to the chip, and the chip is going to be talking to your cell phone, and your cell phone is going to be talking to the fridge, and the fridge is going to be talking to the robot who's going to deliver your parcels to the door from Amazon. The Internet of Things. So nobody is going to have any privacy. There'll be absolutely no privacy for no one. So this is what the experiment is all about. So what is being done to me is going to be done to you. You determine whether you want it to happen to you or not. You be the judge. Do you want to be tortured the way I'm tortured? And used, trafficked, have people log into you, voyeurism, look at you for masturbation, penetrate your body with lasers and microwaves, do experiments on you, have corrupt doctors do procedures on you and not tell you, have doctors not diagnose what's going on because it's an experiment. Do you want all of these things happen to you and your children? Because that's exactly what's going to happen. If you don't put a stop to experiments like this, if you don't start asking questions about what's going on, that's exactly what's going to happen. And if you allow it to happen, then, in my opinion, you deserve it. Because sheeple has to be led. If you're a sheep, you have to be led. I obviously am not a sheep, so I will not be led. I do not want to live in a system that is discontrolled, because a system that is roboticized is not meant for human beings, it's meant for robots. It's meant for machines, which is why I'm speaking up. I do not want to live in a system that is so controlled like the Chinese system. I would not be wanting to live in China. I don't even want to visit China, never mind to live there. I have absolutely no interest in the system that's there in China. So why should it be practiced in Canada? We are supposed to be a democracy. We're supposed to be practicing democracy. We were supposed to be protecting it. A virus, a coronavirus, is not supposed to take away democracy. That's not how viruses work. That's not how diseases work. People die. People have been dying for since human beings were put on the earth from diseases. It's nature's way of uh, of decreasing the population. It's natural. The old have to die. Something has and I'm getting there. I'm 60, of course. Something has to give way. I have to die. It's a natural process. So what is this whole hype about being scared of getting sick? We're supposed to build up an immunity to diseases. If we don't go through it, we wouldn't have antibodies to pass on to our kids. If you're vaccinated against everything, then we're not going to be immune to it naturally. Our bodies are not going to have natural antibodies to pass on to our children, which means our children will have to be vaccinated as well. It's a natural progression of things of being a human being. We're not robots. These are questions that you need to ask. If you don't ask it, then you're going to be chipped and you're going to be controlled, you're going to be tortured, you're going to be tracked, you're going to be roboticized, and you're not going to be a human being anymore. You're going to be an animal, just like the way they treat the people in China. No human rights. Like animals have no human rights. You're livestock. That's exactly what's going to happen in Canada.